Hi, Liza Lawrence here with episode 9, An Instrument for the Lord. Welcome to Wonders and Miracles podcast, where we celebrate miraculous moments in everyday lives. I'm your host, Liza Lawrence, a wife, mother, teacher, and miracle lover. If you're new to this podcast, here's what we do here. Each week on Miracle Monday, we celebrate awe-inspiring true stories from regular people like you and me. People who have experienced something surprising and wonderful that could be considered the work of a divine source. My desire is to help us recognize God's hand and His love in our lives, because the more miracles we notice, the more miracles happen. Thanks for listening to the show. Now let's celebrate wonders and miracles together. Jack Canfield said, "We are God's gift to each other. Like a master composer, He brings all the instruments together, each with a different tone, each playing a different part, and He makes it turn out so beautifully." So I'm excited for today's episode because this was a gift to me, an answer to prayer. This episode came about as a prayer from me, and the Lord gifted it to me, and you'll find out why. And I'm so grateful for all my guests on this show today and can't wait to hear them. But first, let's hear about our sponsors. Today is Meditations on the Mount. So Meditations on the Mount are Bible-based meditations. Meditation has been part of Christianity for centuries. So let Meditations on the Mount guide you through calming, God-focused Bible meditations that allow the Word of God to sink deep into your soul. Why biblical meditations? They can reduce stress and anxiety by learning to let go and trust God. Help us gain focus and mental discipline. These meditations can recenter us on what really matters in life. C.S. Lewis said, "The real problem of Christian life comes the very moment you wake up each morning. All your wishes and hopes for the day rush at you like wild animals, and the first job each morning consists simply in shoving them all back, in listening to that other voice, taking that other point of view, letting that other larger, stronger, quieter life come flowing in." You can find these meditations on my website at wondersandmiracles.com, or you can check it out at their website, meditationsonthemount.com, or on Amazon or iTunes. We have 2 albums, Meditations on the Mount and then Meditations on the Mount for Children. So check those out. I hope they can be useful tools for you and your family. All right, so let's get started. Today, my first guest is a cousin of mine, and you'll hear 2 beautiful stories. And then you'll hear why this whole episode was an answer to prayer. All right, so I'm here with Camille from Utah, and her dad volunteered her to tell this story. So I'm grateful that she agreed and can't wait to hear her story. She was actually only 6 years old when this happened. So how old are you now, Camille? Let's do the math.
Yes, so I'm 28.
Okay, so 12 years ago.
Yes.
All right, well, let's hear your story.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I was 6 years old, it was during the winter time, and my dad said, let's get out of the house. I have a home that I want to show you. So my parents were looking for a new home at the time, and we got our snow clothes on, and we got outside, and we got ready to go, and we jumped in the car, and we were so excited. We arrived at this home, and inside of the home, it was really under construction. So we could get inside, but it was bare. There were still workers working, and it was winter time. So it was wood, all wood. There weren't even any appliances in it yet, and just pretty open, pretty bare. And when we walked in, I thought, I'm a dancer, and all I wanted to do was dance. And I was so excited because I had this wood floor that was just wide open space for me to dance in. And my cute grandma came along with us. So as my dad's touring around the house, getting an idea if it's something that he likes or not, my cute grandma was watching me and my brother and sister. So I was dancing around, and my grandma said, "Now, Camille, do you see this big hole? And it was the cutout hole of the stairs. It's the rectangle cutout where the stairs go. So from the main floor to the basement, that the stairs can go down. And I said, yes, Grandma, I see the hole. Said, please do not go near that hole, and you can dance, but you need to be so careful. This house isn't safe yet. I said, okay, Grandma. So I kept dancing, having a good time. I remember just spinning in circles. That's what I do at home.
Cute.
And the next thing I knew, I was falling. And I had stepped back right where she told me not to step. I fell down from the main floor of this home to the basement. And the basement was bare. So it was just concrete. There's nothing. I don't remember the feeling of falling. All I remember is just being in a place where I was falling, but I wasn't scared. I was calm. I was in a very calm place as I was falling. And I remember getting the wind knocked out of me, like feeling like I just like had been kind of hit gently on my chest. So it was hard to breathe. But when my dad came running down the stairs, as soon as he heard that I had fallen, he said that I was standing upright in another room, white as a ghost, and standing there, completely fine, not crying. So as a little girl, a 6-year-old girl, I had fallen, and yet I feel and know that an angel protected me and picked me up as I was falling and had protected my fall and helped me stand up. And I wasn't directly below the stairs. I was off in another room that was pushed back farther. So it was interesting. And I don't remember walking at all. I just remember standing up from where I was. And I was fine. I felt the wind getting knocked out of me. So I wasn't in pain, but I was in shock. And my dad, I mean, he was so scared. As you can imagine, my grandma sharing the news, Camilla had fallen. My dad came running down the stairs, and these stairs weren't fully built yet. They were just little wood slabs. So they were kind of scary stairs going down. But he came running down. He saw me standing there white as a ghost. And he said, Camilla, are you okay? And I just said, yeah, I'm okay. And he carried me and comforted me and took me up the stairs and said, I'm really worried about you. And my grandma was so worried and hugged me, and they just were shocked that I was completely fine. They couldn't believe it. They just thought, wow, this is amazing. This is a miracle. But we want to make sure you're okay because this is a big fall for a little girl. So we went home. We told my mom. And my dad mentioned that, we should probably take me to the hospital. And at that point, that's when I lost it because I was so scared to go to the hospital. Oh, I did not want to go to the hospital because I was scared of shots and I did not want to get a shot. So that was my biggest fear. I wasn't even scared about like the fall or anything. It was just having to go to the hospital. So I cried. I didn't want to go to the hospital, but my mom and dad agreed that they should take me just to make sure I was fine. So we went to the hospital, and the nurses were great, and I did have to get an IV, and that did scare me, but I got over it. It was fine. But I did get a full body x-ray, and they wanted to make sure that everything was fine because the doctors were shocked. They couldn't believe that I had just fallen, and I was standing and, talking just fine and acting just totally normal. So they did do the scan, and they said that all I had was just a bruised liver. And so when I had fallen, I had just bruised my liver. And there's nothing you can really do for the bruised liver. They said it would just heal on its own. So the doctor said it was a miracle that I was fine. He said that my pink moon boots, I had these cute little pink winter boots on because it was wintertime, and my pink coat, he said that really protected me. And he said, because of your moon boots and your coat, I think you're protected. And also angels were looking out for you. And I have always felt protected and knowing that an angel had come and picked me up. And I know an angel was looking out for me and picked me up at that moment that I had stepped back and fallen onto the concrete. And I know that I am just being watched over all the time, as well as all of us are. We're always being watched over and protected, and, mistakes happen all the time. And I had been warned not to step off into that hole. And, as like a little girl, you hear something and it goes in and out, and you're just like, I'm going to dance anyway, right? It's like,
Uh-huh.
you just want to like have fun. And it was a miracle that I didn't get hurt falling that day. So
Yeah.
I feel very blessed and happy that I was able to be protected.
That's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah.
So you don't remember hitting the ground or getting into
No.
another room. You were just there.
No, I was just
Wow.
there.
Yeah,
Yep. So,
that's
yeah,
amazing.
no harm and standing.
Hmm.
And I don't really remember the full fall. I just remember like stepping back,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't remember like visually seeing an angel
Mm-hmm.
taking me, but I just remember like being in a place of peace, comfort, and standing upright and okay. Amazing. So,
That is
yeah.
amazing. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's really, really beautiful.
You're welcome.
So Camille thought of another story when she finished her first one because it was just so fun to catch up and chat that she said, oh, I thought of another one, which often happens when you start thinking about miracle stories. You can recall several that happened. So Camille has another one that she's going to share, and this one is really darling.
So growing up, we had a golden retriever, and her name was Sandy, and we just loved her. She was the best dog. We were playing with her one day, and my sister had a great idea to tie a hair elastic around her ear to make her have a pigtail. And we thought it was so cute and fun. So we gave her a pigtail, we did her hair, but really we tied a hair elastic around her entire ear, which isn't the smartest thing to do. But we thought it was cute as little girls to do her hair. So we left the pigtail on, went on with our day, and 3 or 4 days went by and this elastic was still around her ear. You couldn't see it because her hair was shaggy
Oh.
and it covered the elastic. So by day 4, we noticed that her ear, when we went to scratch under her ear was solid. It was just hard, and the blood had clotted, and her ear was just completely hardened.
Hmm.
And we were worried about it, and we immediately gathered as a family, and we told our mom, and Carly felt so bad, and I felt so bad, and we cried, and we didn't know what to do, and we were really worried about her ear, and we just thought, oh, we were just trying to do her hair. And so we asked Carter what we should do, and Carter, he is in med school right now, so he's the doctor in our family. So it's cute that even at a young age, we go to Carter and we said, Carter, what do we do? And Carter said, we need to get some small scissors, and we need to clip the elastic off of her ear. And I feel like I can do it if I've got tiny scissors. I can be exact and I can cut this elastic off. So we thought, okay, let's do it. Let's get this elastic off her ear. So as a family, we all gathered around, and we were in the kitchen, and Sandy was moving all over as dogs do. And we thought, how in the world is Carter going to cut this elastic off her ear with her moving around so much? And so we were really stressed because anytime Carter got near, touched her ear, she would just flip her head. And it was just, you're thinking this isn't going to happen. So I thought, we need to say a prayer and pray that she'll be able to remain calm so we can cut this elastic off of her ear. So we all gathered as a family. We knelt down in prayer, and I said the prayer, and I prayed that Sandy would hold still so we could cut this elastic off of her ear. And during the prayer, we felt comfort and peace, and Sandy immediately went from running around the kitchen to complete stillness.
Wow.
And she laid right on the floor, totally calm. And Carter took his scissors, and he was able to snip the elastic off of her ear safely and calmly, and it all worked out. We got the elastic off, and she was completely calm. So our prayer was answered, and it was a miracle that she was able to hold still enough. And it was neat because it was a miracle that as a family we all witnessed and experienced together, which was really sweet.
Yeah.
It was a really sweet moment.
And it sounds like so immediate, like she just calmed down immediately.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Those
it
are
was
powerful
immediate.
moments. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I've always remembered that prayer being answered throughout my life, and it's really helped me. And whenever I pray, that it's just so good to know that like my prayers are being listened to and answered. And in that special moment, it was answered immediately, and our family was able to feel the spirit and the calmness of it. And Sandy was fine. We ended up taking her to the vet to have her ear looked at, and she was okay. I mean, he was worried about her ear. If the elastic had stayed on longer, it definitely would have been really bad. I don't know, she may have lost her ear. It really was pretty bad at that point. But he was able to help her, and she did have to come home with the cone of shame, that big cone around her head. So she had to wear a big, white, awkward cone. And that was so funny, but she was fine. So, and we learned our lesson. Never tie hair elastics around your dog's ears.
Don't tie,
even if it looks cute,
like a tourniquet around any part of their body.
No. Yeah.
What a cute story. I love that. And I love that your whole family participated in it. You know, that innocence of children, I think, is so powerful. Yeah. And I think that that's a neat illustration of that.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing that one and all your fun miracle stories.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, so I'm here with my Uncle Marty, and he is just such a generous supporter of all things beautiful and good. And before he tells his story, I want to tell a little miracle story that happened with him just yesterday. So yesterday, I had 2 people that I had scheduled to record stories on the podcast. They postponed until next week. So I had 2 empty slots to fill for my next episode, and I said a silent prayer. And I asked the Lord to send me someone to fill those slots. And in no less than 5 minutes, I got a message on Facebook from my Uncle Marty. And he said, "Hey, by the way, Camille, my daughter, has a great miracle story, and I have some too." So, Marty, thanks for being an answer to prayer. And let's hear your stories. I'm excited to hear these.
Okay. So, very good. Thank you, and I love the podcast. You're awesome, Liza.
Thank you.
And of all my nieces, you're one of my very favorites.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
I was going to say my favorite, but then I thought of all my other 2.
I know. They'd feel bad.
Yeah. So you interviewed Camille,
mm-hmm.
and just to share my perspective, Camille had talked about as a little girl dancing and falling. Kind of what happened in that situation was when we were there, it was cold and we were checking out this house because it had a similar floor plan and it was under construction. And so there was this huge cut right there in the floor that went straight down into the cement of the basement below. And it was quite the drop. And so there we were. And then the next thing I know, everyone screams because Camille had fallen, danced right off that hole, right straight down 10 feet or whatever it is, right down onto the cement below. And so I ran as quickly as I could. I got down and fully expecting to see Camille just blacked out laying there on the cement.
Mm-hmm.
And it was bizarre because she was not there. And I'm looking around, where's Camille? And there she is, about 15, 20 feet away, just standing there looking at me with this little look. And she's not crying. She's not anything. She's just standing there staring at me. And it was unbelievable. It's kind of like, how did she fall? And then suddenly she's standing and, you know what I mean? And standing where she was. It just didn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we took her and she never cried. She just was cute and just sweet. So definitely we felt like someone was looking out for Camille and preserved Camille in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It was a sweet miracle for us.
Yeah.
The other little miracle stories I wanted to share is And this is one that I was a participant in, but it was all told by my mom because my mom was pregnant with me. And the story is that, I don't know, maybe 2 months into the pregnancy or so, the doctors identified a tumor. And so they watched this tumor and my growth, and we were all kind of there together with the x-rays. And so they realized that there would be a critical point where they just really needed to remove that tumor. And in doing so, there was an extremely high probability, and they prepared my mom, letting her know that she would lose the baby, but they needed to get rid of that tumor because it could cost her life. And so as the time progressed on, obviously this isn't something they just wanted to go in and take the baby at that point. So they felt like at about 6 months, I believe, was kind of the turning point where they just needed to go in and conduct the surgery. And so I think the story is that they were going to perform the surgery, let's say, 10 in the morning on a Tuesday morning. And so Monday night or evening, they went in and they did the pre-op to make sure that they knew exactly how they would do the procedure, and they did some x-rays, and they were all ready to go for the surgery the next morning. And after tracking this tumor for months and months and months, the tumor had disappeared. So they just said, this is unbelievable, but we can't find the tumor.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so I was born, 3 months later, totally healthy. And there we go. And of course, my older siblings, they are convinced I was the tumor the entire time. And so that was just, so actually they did, the tumor had disappeared, but it really hadn't. It had just completely shrunk to the point they couldn't even see it. And so when they brought out the placenta and everything else, they were able to identify the tissue that had been there from the tumor.
Wow.
So an absolute miracle. Yep.
That is. And I know, so you're my mother's littlest brother. And I just remember my mom told me that story when I was young. And she just said, Marty was the blessing we all needed in that family. He brought in so much light and so much happiness. So I know my mom didn't think of you as the tumor. She thought you were the miracle blessing in the family.
That's great. Very good. One other miracle, I think, was back in 1986 or 1987. I had one of these video cameras, and the technology was so different back then that very few of us had one, and you had to hold this on your shoulder, and it was huge. You felt like you were, working for the local news station if you wanted to video anyone. And it used a complete full video cassette. That's how big it was. So one of my very dear friends, her name at the time was Diane Francis, and then later got married Diane Francis Tanner. It was going to be her wedding, and she had invited me to the wedding, and it was in Salt Lake. And so at the time, she later told me that she had intended to call me because she thought I might have a video camera and thought it'd be really cool to have all the pictures and everything recorded on video. Well, she didn't call me, and time went on. And so anyway, we're heading out to the wedding when we were out the door and we were in the car and we had backed up when we were just pulling up the street when suddenly I had this strong impression, return, go get your video camera. And so I told Julie, I said, hey, that's my wife. I said, hey, I need to get the video camera. I think I need to bring that just in case she hasn't hired anyone or what have you. And Julie, persuaded me, hey, we're late. I'm sure she's taking care of it. No. But so anyway, I insisted. So we went back, grabbed the video camera. Well, we get there, and it's funny because suddenly I am just like right in the center of activity. I'm videoing this, I'm videoing that, and I'm just suddenly almost like I'm their videographer that they had hired. I mean, they just wanted me everywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, as part of the activity, this sweet little girl, I think she was probably like 10. I think it was Diane's niece, I believe, either her niece or cousin. She was there, and she was so cute. She decided to perform for me and to show how great of a clogger she was. She did clogging. And I just thought it was so funny because I did this video of her clogging, and it wasn't like just a little 20-second clip. It's like she decided to do like all 7 verses or something of the song of her clogging. So anyway, I just videoed her over and over as she was clogging, So then we go over to where they had this really nice wedding breakfast, lunch kind of activity. So they had a program, and so I'm videoing the speakers and everyone's talking and giving tribute. And then there was this special musical number, and her dad is a musician, this little girl's dad, and he performed the song that he had written, and this is the debut. They had never sung this before, and it was called Daddy's Little Girl. And it was her and her older sister and then her dad that sang this together. And so I videoed the whole song, the 3-minute, song, and everything was great. So I had this videotape of all the activities and just went home and everything was good. Well, about 10 days later, I get this message and find out that sweet little girl that did the clog dancing and also had sung with her dad, Daddy's Little Girl, I think she was hit by a truck. It was an automobile of some sort, and she was killed instantly. And of course, it was devastating. She was so adorable, and the whole family was devastated. And it came out that the dad said, one of my big regrets is I would have loved if we had had a recording of us singing Daddy's Little Girl together. That would just be such a treasure for me. And then a couple of the other relatives said, hey, remember there was that guy that was there with a video camera, and I wonder if he had it, videoed. And so I was contacted, and sure enough, I had everything on the videotape. So I sent it to him, and I remember getting this sweet letter. I think it was actually the music to Daddy's Little Girl and the words and just the whole thing that fit. And then with this thank you card that went with it, and it just said thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it's one of those sweet moments where our Father in heaven and uses other people and prompts and so forth, and had looked out ahead and saw that was something that needed to be recorded as a gift to that father and that family, and so prompted me to be able to make sure I grabbed the video camera to make that happen for them.
That is so beautiful. Don't you love being that instrument for the Lord, of following those promptings and then offering that gift to that family? Because what a gift that was. I'm sure they just were so grateful to have that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Marty. I love those stories. I so appreciate you being so in tune back then and now to answer people's prayers. So that's amazing. I love that.
Oh, you're welcome. And can't wait for Miracle Monday. I'm now a follower.
That's awesome.
All right. You're a sweetheart.
Thanks, Marty. Love you too. So there you have it. That's our show. I'm so thankful that Marty listened and acted on those promptings and helped answer my prayer for a call for miracle stories. And I'm grateful that Camille was willing and said, let's do one right now. The minute I contacted her, it was awesome. So thanks, you guys. Truly, you're an answer to prayer. On that note, I just want to call out for anyone who has a miracle story or knows someone who does to contact me. I feel like this is such a worthy project. And honestly, when you think about miracle stories, I think sometimes people maybe get nervous that, well, that was so personal and it won't really make sense. And honestly, if we didn't share miracle stories, we would not have the scriptures. I think the Lord truly wants us to share stories like this and edify one another and lift one another. So please consider prayerfully if you would be willing to share your miracle story on this podcast to uplift those around us. And a big thank you to everyone who's participated and who will participate. I truly am grateful for your support and willingness to share. I also want to give a big thank you for all those listeners who have supported by subscribing to the podcast and giving the podcast a rating and review. So thank you for your support. I so appreciate that. If you want to support the podcast, 3 ways to do that. First, subscribe. Second, rate and review. And really, you can rate and review on any podcast app that you're listening on. And then third, share it on your social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on email. Also show people how to find it, that sort of thing. That really does help spread the word and get more listeners. And the more listeners we have, the more stories that we have available. I want to give a shout out and a big thank you for those that have written a review. And this one comes from Sissa Mom. She says, I'm so excited about this podcast. The stories are wonderful. I love that it makes me think about wonders and miracles in my own life. So thanks, Sissa Mom, for listening and writing a review. And truly, like I said, I hope you consider sharing your miracle stories on the podcast. You can submit those at my website on wondersandmiracles.com. And it's really not a scary process. I make it very easy. I can do lots of editing. If you make a mistake, we can edit that out. So I hope to put you at ease that I know a lot of people are shy and nervous, and I promise I make it easy for you. Again, like Jack Canfield said, we are God's gift to each other. Like a master composer, he brings all the instruments together, each with a different tone, each playing a different part, and he makes it turn out so beautifully. I can't wait to hear how God has shown up in your life. And as always, remember to notice and celebrate the miracles everywhere, because the more miracles we notice, the more miracles happen.